We love arcades. That's why cool stuff such as MAME even exists. MAME's primary goal is the preservation of gaming history, ensuring that vintage video games are not lost or forgotten. It's now grown to over 7,000 games now. Let's take a look at the top 50 games that are popular on MAME.
Round 2, fight!
Street Fighter II: The World Warrior, 1991. Street Fighter II: The World Warrior is a landmark in arcade gaming and the fighting game genre. The plot of Street Fighter II revolves around a global martial arts tournament organized by the nefarious M. Bison, the leader of the Shadaloo crime syndicate. Each of the 8 playable characters enters the tournament for personal reasons, ranging from seeking revenge to proving their martial prowess. Players can choose from iconic characters like Ryu, Ken, Chun-Li, and Guile, each with unique backstories and motivations that add depth to the otherwise straightforward tournament setup. The narrative is simple yet effective, providing just enough context to drive the intense one-on-one battles. Graphically, Street Fighter II was a significant leap forward for its time. The game features vibrant, detailed sprites and fluid animations that bring each character to life. The diverse backgrounds, representing various global locations, are richly designed and add to the game's immersive experience. From the bustling streets of China to the serene temples of Japan, each stage is visually distinct and enhances the game's international tournament theme. The character designs are memorable and have become iconic in the gaming world. The gameplay of Street Fighter II is where the game introduced a level of depth and complexity that was unprecedented in fighting games. Players can execute a wide array of moves, including special attacks and combos. The game's combo system, which allows for linked attacks that can't be blocked if timed correctly, was revolutionary and has since become a staple in the genre. The balance between characters, each with their unique fighting styles and special moves, ensures that no 2 matches are the same. The game's competitive nature is further enhanced by the ability for a second player to join at any time, challenging the current player in a head-to-head match. The audio in Street Fighter II is another standout feature. The game boasts a memorable soundtrack, with each character having their own theme music that reflects their background and fighting style. The sound effects, from the impact of punches and kicks to the iconic Hadouken shout, are crisp and add to the visceral feel of the combat. Mortal Kombat 2, 1993. Mortal Kombat 2 is a seminal entry in the fighting game genre, building upon the foundation laid by its predecessor with significant enhancements. The graphics of Mortal Kombat 2 were groundbreaking at the time, utilizing digitized sprites to create a more realistic and visually striking experience. The game's darker theme and richer color palette, combined with detailed backgrounds and multiple layers of parallax scrolling, contributed to a visually immersive environment. The character animations, derived from real actors, added a layer of authenticity and fluidity to the combat, although some critics noted occasional stiffness in movement. The plot of Mortal Kombat 2 picks up where the original left off, with the Earthrealm warriors entering the Outworld to face the evil Emperor Shao Kahn. The narrative is straightforward but effective, providing a compelling backdrop for the brutal tournament. The inclusion of new characters like Kitana, Jax, and Baraka, alongside returning favorites such as Liu Kang and Scorpion, expanded the game's lore and added depth to the roster. The combat system is faster and more responsive than the original, with new moves and combos that enhance the fighting experience. The introduction of multiple fatalities per character, along with the new babalities and friendships, offered players a variety of ways to finish their opponents, adding both humor and brutality to the mix. The game's difficulty, particularly against AI opponents, was noted for being challenging, which kept players engaged and coming back for more. The audio in Mortal Kombat 2 complements the intense gameplay and dark atmosphere. The sound effects, especially during special moves and fatalities, are impactful and satisfying. Donkey Kong, 1981. Donkey Kong is the arcade game that introduced the world to the iconic characters of Mario, initially known as Jumpman, and Donkey Kong. The plot is straightforward, yet engaging. Mario must navigate a series of platforms and ladders to rescue his girlfriend, Pauline, from the clutches of the giant ape, Donkey Kong. This simple damsel in distress storyline was groundbreaking at the time, providing a clear objective that kept players hooked. Graphically, Donkey Kong was impressive for its era. The game features vibrant and colorful sprites that are easily distinguishable, with Mario's red and blue outfit standing out against the industrial backdrop of girders and ladders. The animation is smooth. The game's design effectively conveys the perilous nature of Mario's mission. Each of the 4 stages offers a unique visual challenge, from the crooked girders of the first stage to the conveyor belts and elevators of the subsequent levels. The audio in Donkey Kong is iconic, the catchy and memorable soundtrack that enhances the gameplay experience. The sound effects, such as the clanging of barrels and the triumphant jingle when Mario grabs a hammer, are well designed and add to the game's appeal. As one of the earliest platformers, it set the standard for future games in the genre. Players must time their jumps carefully to avoid barrels, fireballs, and other hazards while climbing ladders and crossing platforms. The controls are responsive, and the difficulty ramps up progressively, keeping players engaged and challenged. The inclusion of power-ups, like the hammer that allows Mario to smash obstacles, adds a strategic layer to the game. Each stage's unique mechanics ensure that the gameplay remains fresh and exciting. Marvel vs. Capcom Clash of Superheroes, 1998. Marvel vs. Capcom Clash of Superheroes brings together iconic characters from both the Marvel Comics universe and Capcom's own franchises, creating a crossover that's both thrilling and visually stunning. The game centers around a conflict where heroes and villains from both Marvel and Capcom must team up to stop a powerful threat. While the narrative isn't deeply explored within the gameplay, the premise serves as a perfect backdrop for the intense battles that ensue. Marvel vs. Capcom is a feast for the eyes. The game was praised for its vibrant and detailed 2D sprites, which brought characters like Spider-Man, Ryu, Mega Man, and Captain America to life with remarkable fidelity. The animation is smooth, and the special effects during hyper combos and team attacks are particularly impressive, creating a visually dynamic experience that was ahead of its time. IGN even described the graphics as visually orgasmic due to their impressive quality for the era. The audio in Marvel vs. Capcom complements the visual spectacle with a robust soundtrack and crisp sound effects. The music includes memorable tracks from various Capcom games, adding a layer of nostalgia for fans. The sound effects, from the swoosh of a punch to the explosive impacts of a hyper combo, are clear and impactful, enhancing the overall arcade experience. The game utilizes a tag team-based combat system, allowing players to select two characters and switch between them during fights. This mechanic adds a strategic layer to the gameplay, as players must manage the character's health and utilize their unique abilities effectively. The introduction of the variable cross or duo team attack allows players to control both characters simultaneously for a limited time, unleashing devastating combos on their opponents. Additionally, the game features a guest character special partner system, where players can summon an additional character for a brief assist, adding another layer of strategy and excitement to the battles. Mario Bros. 1983. The arcade classic Mario Bros. Is a foundational piece in the history of video gaming. This game introduced players to Mario and Luigi, the iconic Italian plumber brothers, and set the stage for the expansive Mario franchise that would follow. The characters and enemies are distinct and colorful, making it easy for players to distinguish between different elements on the screen. The game's setting, the sewers of New York City, is depicted through a series of platforms and pipes, creating a visually engaging environment that complements the gameplay. While the graphics may seem rudimentary by today's standards, they possess a nostalgic appeal that continues to captivate players. Mario and Luigi must investigate the sewers to eliminate strange creatures that have appeared. The simplicity of the plot allows players to focus on the gameplay. The objective is to defeat all the enemies in each phase by flipping them on their backs and kicking them off the screen. This is achieved by hitting the platform beneath the enemies, adding a layer of strategy to the otherwise straightforward platforming mechanics. The game also features a cooperative two-player mode, which encourages teamwork and adds to the game's replayability. Gameplay in Mario Bros. Is both challenging and addictive. Players must navigate platforms, avoid hazards, and strategically use the power block to flip enemies. The game introduces various enemy types, each with unique behaviors, keeping the gameplay fresh and engaging. The wraparound screen mechanic, where characters and enemies reappear on the opposite side of the screen, adds an additional layer of complexity. The game's difficulty ramps up gradually, providing a satisfying challenge for both new and experienced players. The audio in Mario Bros. Is iconic and memorable. The sound effects, such as the distinctive thud when hitting a platform or the ping when collecting coins, are instantly recognizable and add to the game overall. The background music, while simple, effectively sets the tone and enhances the gameplay experience. Space Invaders, 1978. Space Invaders was one of the earliest shooting games. It established the template for the genre and became a cultural phenomenon. The gameplay of Space Invaders is straightforward, yet highly engaging. Players control a laser cannon that moves horizontally across the bottom of the screen, tasked with shooting down waves of descending aliens. The aliens move in a grid pattern, shifting side to side and descending one step each time they reach the screen's edge. As players eliminate more aliens, the remaining ones speed up, increasing the game's difficulty. The objective is to destroy all the aliens before they reach the bottom of the screen, which results in game over. Players can also earn bonus points by shooting a mysterious spaceship that occasionally flies across the top of the screen. The game's escalating challenge and the need for strategic shooting and dodging make it addictive and exciting. The plot of Space Invaders is minimalistic, fitting the era's arcade games. Players are defenders of Earth, using their laser cannon to repel an alien invasion. The lack of a detailed storyline doesn't detract from the game's appeal. Instead, it allows players to focus entirely on the action and high score chasing. In terms of audio, Space Invaders was revolutionary for its time. The game features a simple yet effective soundtrack that increases in tempo as the aliens descend, adding to the tension and urgency. The sound effects, including the iconic heartbeat rhythm of the alien march and the various explosion sounds, created a distinctive audio experience that's become synonymous with classic arcade gaming. Graphically, Space Invaders is primitive by today's standards, but was cutting edge in 1978. The game uses black and white graphics with a colored overlay to simulate color. The aliens are rendered as simple, pixelated sprites, but their distinct shapes and the game's clean, uncluttered design make them easily recognizable. Ms. Pac-Man, 1982. Ms. Pac-Man builds upon the foundation laid by its predecessor, Pac-Man. This game introduces several enhancements that make it a standout in the arcade genre. The gameplay of Ms. Pac-Man retains the core mechanics of navigating mazes, eating pellets, and avoiding ghosts. However, it introduces 4 distinct mazes that alternate in color schemes, adding variety and complexity to the experience. The ghosts exhibit more randomized behavior compared to Pac-Man, making the movements less predictable and increasing the challenge. Additionally, the game features moving fruit bonuses that add an extra layer of strategy and excitement. These elements combine to create a game that's both familiar and refreshingly new, appealing to both seasoned players and newcomers alike. In terms of graphics, Ms. Pac-Man offers more vibrant and varied visuals than its predecessor. The mazes are more colorful, and the character sprites are well-defined, contributing to a visually engaging experience. The intermissions between levels, which depict humorous interactions between Ms. Pac-Man and her ghostly pursuers, are a delightful addition that adds personality to the game. The audio in Ms. Pac-Man is another area where the game excels. The sound effects are crisp and clear, enhancing the overall gameplay experience. The iconic Waka Waka sound of Ms. Pac-Man eating pellets and the distinctive sounds of the ghosts add to the game's nostalgic appeal. The audio cues are not only enjoyable, but also serve as important feedback for the player's actions, making the game more immersive. Overall, Ms. Pac-Man is a masterful sequel that improves upon the original Pac-Man in nearly every way. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, 1989. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game, is a classic beat-em-up that captured the hearts of arcade goers. The graphics in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 are impressive, especially considering the hardware limitations of the time. The game features colorful and detailed sprites that bring the beloved characters of Leonardo, Michelangelo, Donatello, and Raphael to life. Each turtle is distinct, not only in appearance, but also in their fighting styles, which adds a layer of depth to the visual experience. The backgrounds are well crafted, depicting various urban environments that are both dynamic and immersive, enhancing the overall aesthetic appeal of the game. The audio in this game is another highlight. The soundtrack's filled with catchy tunes that perfectly complement the action-packed gameplay. From the iconic opening theme to the intense boss battle music, the audio design keeps players engaged. The sound effects, while simple, are effective in conveying the impact of each hit and special move, making the combat feel satisfying. The plot of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 is straightforward but effective. Shredder has kidnapped April O'Neil and Splinter, prompting the Turtles to embark on a mission to rescue their friends and defeat their arch-nemesis. This narrative provides a solid foundation for the game's action, driving players through various stages filled with enemies and bosses, including familiar faces like Rocksteady, Bebop, and Krang. As a beat-em-up, the game offers a simple yet addictive experience. Players can choose from the 4 turtles, each with unique abilities and fighting styles. The controls are intuitive, special moves and the ability to interact with the environment, such as slamming enemies into walls, adding variety to the combat. The game supports up to 4 players in co-op mode, making it a fantastic choice for group play. The difficulty ramps up as players progress, ensuring a challenging experience that keeps them coming back for more. Neo Turf Masters, 1996. Despite being a golf game, a genre not typically associated with the high-energy atmosphere of arcades, Neo Turf Masters manages to capture the excitement and challenge of the sport in a way that appeals to both casual players and golf enthusiasts. Players select from one of 6 international golfers, each with unique strengths and weaknesses, and compete in tournaments across 4 different courses located in the United States, Germany, Japan, and Australia. The objective is straightforward: achieve the best score possible by completing 18 holes on each course. The simplicity of the plot allows players to focus on the core gameplay mechanics without unnecessary distractions. Graphically, Neo Turf Masters has bright, colourful visuals that are both appealing and functional. The game features a behind-the-golfer perspective for tee shots and a top-down view for navigating the course, providing a clear and intuitive interface. While the main graphics are somewhat low resolution, with noticeable pixelation in some areas, the overall presentation is clean and effective. The game includes nice detail, such as animated waterfalls and varied landscapes, that enhance the visual experience without overwhelming the player. The audio in Neo Turf Masters is another highlight. The soundtrack consists of upbeat, jazzy tunes that perfectly complement the relaxed yet competitive nature of the game. Each course has its own distinct music, adding to the sense of progression and variety. Sound effects are crisp and satisfying, from the thunk of the ball landing in the cup to the ambient sounds of the course. The enthusiastic commentary from the announcer adds an extra layer of excitement, making each shot feel significant. The controls are simple and intuitive, making the game accessible to newcomers while offering enough depth to keep experienced players engaged. Players use a standard power meter to set the strength and accuracy of their shots, with additional controls for adjusting the hook, slice, and wind compensation. The game rewards precision and strategy, encouraging players to carefully plan each shot. The inclusion of a 2-player versus mode adds a competitive edge, allowing friends to challenge each other in head-to-head matches. Golden Axe, 1989. Golden Axe is a classic side-scrolling beat-em-up game that's left a lasting impact on the genre. Set in the mythical land of Uriah, players choose from 3 distinct characters: Axe Battler, Gilius Thunderhead, and Tyrus Flare, each with their own personal vendetta against the evil Death Adder, who's captured the king and his daughter and threatens to destroy the magical Golden Axe. The graphics of Golden Axe were quite impressive for its time. The game features detailed sprites and vibrant backgrounds that bring the fantasy world to life. Each character and enemy is well animated, and the environments, ranging from villages on the backs of giant turtles to the skies on a giant eagle, are imaginative and visually engaging. The narrative unfolds through brief text interludes between stages, providing just enough context to keep players engaged. The quest to defeat Death Adder and save the kingdom is a classic tale of heroism that fits well within the fantasy genre. Audio in Golden Axe complements the gameplay well. While the audio quality reflects the limitations of the time, it remains a significant part of the game's nostalgic appeal. As a beat-em-up, the game offers a variety of moves, including basic attacks, dashes, jumps, and magic spells. Each character has unique abilities, and players can also ride mounts like the cockatrice, adding variety to the combat. The magic system is particularly notable, allowing players to collect potions to unleash powerful spells that can clear the screen of enemies. However, the gameplay can feel stiff compared to more modern beat-em-ups, and the ability for players to accidentally hit each other in co-op mode can be frustrating. Despite these issues, the game remains challenging and fun, especially when played with a friend. RType, 1987. RType is an important entry in the horizontally scrolling shooter genre. Players take control of the R9 Arrowhead starship, tasked with the mission to eradicate the Bido, a formidable alien race threatening humanity. The graphics of RType were groundbreaking for its time, leveraging the capabilities of the 16-bit M72 arcade system. The game features detailed sprite work and intricate backgrounds that draw heavy inspiration from H.R. Giger's biomechanical art style, creating a haunting and immersive atmosphere. The enemy designs are particularly noteworthy, with the Bido aliens exhibiting a grotesque and menacing appearance that adds to the game's tension. The visual effects, such as the glowing force orb and the various weapon blasts, are vibrant and add a dynamic layer to the on-screen action. The sound effects, from the firing of the R9's weapons to the explosions of defeated enemies, are crisp and satisfying. While the audio quality is limited by the technology of the era, it remains a memorable aspect of the game that contributes to its intense and engaging gameplay. Gameplay in RType is where the game has cemented its legacy. The game is known for its high difficulty level, requiring precise control and strategic use of the R9's arsenal. The Force device is a standout feature, acting as both a shield and an additional weapon that can be attached to the front or rear of the ship or deployed independently. This mechanic adds a layer of strategy, as players must decide how best to utilize the Force in various situations. The level design is meticulously crafted, with each stage presenting unique challenges and enemy patterns that keep players on their toes. The game's difficulty can be daunting, but it also makes each victory feel hard-earned and rewarding.
Heavy machine gun. Laser gun.
Metal Slug 3, 2000. Metal Slug 3 is a standout entry in this iconic arcade series. The plot of Metal Slug 3 continues the series' tradition of pitting players against the evil forces of General Morden and his army. This time, however, the narrative takes a twist with the introduction of alien invaders, adding a layer of sci-fi intrigue. Players can choose from 4 characters: Marco, Tarma, Eri, and Theo, each with their unique abilities as they navigate through 5 diverse and increasingly difficult levels. The story unfolds across various environments, including deserts, jungles, underwater stages, and even outer space, culminating in a dramatic showdown that blends military and extraterrestrial threats. Graphically, the game retains the series' signature hand-drawn pixel art style, which is both detailed and colorful. The character animations are fluid and often humorous, adding a layer of charm to the intense action. Each level is meticulously designed with a plethora of enemies, vehicles, and environmental hazards that keep the visuals dynamic and engaging. The 5th and final stage is particularly noteworthy for its sprawling design and the variety of unique enemies and locales it presents. The audio in Metal Slug 3 complements its visual appeal perfectly. The soundtrack is energetic and fits the fast-paced nature of the game, while the sound effects are crisp and impactful. The iconic voice clips, such as the announcer's enthusiastic calls and the characters' exclamations, add to the game's lively atmosphere. The audio design ensures that each explosion, gunshot, and enemy encounter feels satisfying and immersive. Gameplay is where Metal Slug truly shows its stature, albeit with a notorious difficulty curve. The controls are straightforward, allowing players to aim, shoot, jump, and throw grenades with ease. However, the game is designed to be challenging, with a constant barrage of enemies and projectiles that require quick reflexes and strategic movement. The introduction of branching paths in the first 4 levels adds replayability, as players can choose different routes to explore new areas and face varied challenges. Additionally, the game features a variety of vehicles, known as slugs, which players can pilot to gain an edge in combat. Despite its difficulty, Metal Slug 3 offers a rewarding experience for those who persevere. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time, 1991. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time is a quintessential arcade beat-em-up game that's left a lasting impression on fans of the genre and the TMNT franchise. This game captures the spirit of the 1987 animated series. The gameplay in Turtles in Time is a classic side-scrolling beat-em-up where players can choose from one of the 4 iconic turtles: Leonardo, Michelangelo, Donatello, and Raphael. Each turtle has unique attributes, balancing speed, range, and attack power. The game supports up to 4 players simultaneously, making it a fantastic multiplayer experience. Players navigate through various levels, battling the Foot Clan and iconic villains like Bebop, Rocksteady, and Shredder. The controls are intuitive, and the special moves, such as throwing enemies or performing sweeping attacks, adds depth to the combat mechanics. The story kicks off with Krang stealing the Statue of Liberty, prompting the Turtles to chase the Foot Clan to the Technodrome. Here, Shredder sends them through a time warp, scattering the Turtles across different historical periods. Players must fight through various eras, from prehistoric times to a futuristic neon city, to defeat Shredder and return to the present. This time-traveling adventure adds a unique twist to the standard beat-em-up formula, keeping players invested in the narrative as they progress through each level. Graphically, Turtles in Time is a standout title from the early 90s. The game features colorful, detailed sprites that faithfully represent the characters from the animated series. Each level is distinct, with backgrounds and enemies that reflect the time period the Turtles are currently in. The animations are smooth, and the visual effects, such as explosions and special attacks, are impressive for the time. The game's art style captures the fun and energetic vibe of the TMNT universe, making it visually appealing to both fans and newcomers. The audio in Turtles in Time is equally noteworthy. The soundtrack's filled with catchy, upbeat tunes that complement the action-packed gameplay. Iconic tracks like Pizza Power and the various stage themes enhance the overall experience, making each level memorable. Altered Beast, 1988. Altered Beast, 1988 is an arcade classic. As a side-scrolling beat-em-up, it stands out for its unique transformation mechanics and vivid presentation. The graphics in Altered Beast are a standout feature, especially for its time. The game boasts highly detailed sprites and well-animated characters, from the protagonist to the various monsters you encounter. Each stage is visually distinct, with colorful backgrounds that, while lacking in dynamic elements like parallax scrolling, still manage to create an immersive atmosphere. The transformation sequences, where the hero morphs into different beasts protagonists are particularly impressive and add a layer of excitement to the visual experience. Gameplay in Altered Beast is simple but engaging. Players control a resurrected warrior tasked with rescuing a magician's daughter from an evil sorcerer. The game progresses through 5 stages, each filled with waves of enemies and culminating in a boss fight. The core mechanic involves defeating white 2-headed wolves to collect power-ups that enhance the player's strength and eventually trigger a transformation into a powerful beast. Each beast form, ranging from a werewolf to a dragon, offers unique abilities that make combat more dynamic and enjoyable. However, the gameplay can feel repetitive, and the overall challenge is moderate, making it fun in short bursts but potentially less appealing for extended play sessions. Audio in Altered Beast complements the game's medieval and mythical theme. The soundtrack features upbeat yet somewhat forgettable tunes during gameplay, while the interstage music has a more memorable medieval flair. Sound effects are robust and add a sense of impact to the combat, enhancing the feeling of power as you punch and kick through enemies. The game also includes some iconic, if cheesy, voice samples, such as the famous "Rise from your grave," which have become part of its nostalgic appeal. Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, 1993. Cadillacs and Dinosaurs is a side-scrolling beat-em-up arcade game that stands out for its unique setting and engaging gameplay. Based on the comic book series Xenozoic Tales and the short-lived animated series of the same name, the game transports players to a post-apocalyptic world where humans coexist with dinosaurs. Set in the 26th century, the game follows the protagonists as they battle against the Black Marketeers, who are exploiting dinosaurs for their own gain. The story unfolds through the levels, culminating in a showdown with a mad scientist who's been creating dinosaur-human hybrids. The gameplay is classic Capcom beat-em-up fare, with up to 3 players able to join in simultaneously. Players can choose from 4 distinct characters: Jack Tenrek, Hannah Dundee, Mustafa Cairo, and Meso Bradovic, each with unique abilities and fighting styles. The game features 8 levels filled with a variety of enemies, including the Black Marketeers gang and roaming dinosaurs that attack both players and foes indiscriminately. Players can perform a range of attacks, including special moves that can be combined for team attacks when playing cooperatively. The inclusion of firearms, melee weapons, and explosives adds a layer of strategy and excitement to the combat. Graphically, Cadillacs and Dinosaurs is a vibrant and detailed game, typical of Capcom's arcade titles from the early 90s. The sprites are well animated, and the dinosaurs in particular are impressively rendered. The environments, while somewhat repetitive, effectively convey the game's post-apocalyptic setting. The visual design is complemented by catchy background music and robust sound effects, which enhance the overall experience. The audio captures the essence of the chaotic world, with sounds of roaring dinosaurs, gunfire, and the revving of Cadillacs, adding to the immersive atmosphere. Despite its lack of home console ports, the game remains a beloved classic among fans of the genre. Toki, 1989. Toki is a classic run-and-gun platformer that follows the story of Toki, a once muscular tribesman turned into an ape by the evil witch doctor, Fuki Medlo. Fuki Medlo has also kidnapped Toki's beloved, Miho, and transformed the island's inhabitants into various beasts. Armed with the ability to shoot projectiles from his mouth, Toki embarks on a perilous journey to rescue Miho and restore his human form. The plot of Toki is engaging, providing a solid foundation for the game's adventurous spirit. Toki must traverse 6 diverse levels, each filled with unique enemies and environmental hazards to reach Fuki Medlo's Golden Palace. The narrative, while simple, is enriched by the game's whimsical tone and the protagonist's quirky abilities, making the quest feel both urgent and entertaining. Graphically, Toki stands out with its colorful and detailed sprite work. The game's environments are richly designed, ranging from steep canyons to icy mountains and fiery volcanoes. Each level is visually distinct, ensuring that players remain visually stimulated throughout their journey. The character animations, particularly Toki's, are fluid and expressive, adding a layer of charm to the gameplay. The game's art style strikes a balance between cartoonish and adventurous, perfectly complementing its light-hearted narrative. Despite his transformation, Toki retains his agility, can jump, climb, and shoot in multiple directions. The controls are responsive, allowing for precise movements and strategic shooting. The game is challenging, with a variety of enemies and obstacles that require quick reflexes and careful planning. Power-ups play a crucial role, enhancing Toki's abilities and providing temporary advantages that can turn the tide in difficult situations. The level design is intricate, with each stage presenting new challenges and requiring players to adapt their strategies accordingly. The Last Blade 2, 1998. As a sequel to the original The Last Blade, this game continues the tradition of weapons-based combat set against a backdrop of Japanese mythology and historical elements. The plot of The Last Blade 2 is rich and intricate. Set 1 year after the events of the first game, it delves deeper into the mythos surrounding the Hell's Gate, a portal connecting the world of the living with the underworld. The narrative introduces new characters such as Hibiki Takane, who's on a quest to find the man responsible for her father's final sword, and Setsuna, a mysterious being linked to the Hell's Gate. The story is darker and more intense than its predecessor, with longer cutscenes that emphasize the gravity of the unfolding events. Gameplay in The Last Blade 2 retains the core mechanics of the original, while introducing new elements to enhance the experience. Players can choose between speed and power modes, with the addition of an X mode that combines aspects of both. The game features a diverse roster of characters, each with unique strengths and weaknesses, making for a more strategic and varied fighting experience. The combat system is fluid and responsive, with a focus on precise timing and tactical play. Graphically, The Last Blade 2 is a standout title from the late 90s. The game boasts detailed visuals. Character sprites are beautifully animated, and the backgrounds are rich with detail, bringing the game's historical and mythological settings to life. The darker color palette and atmospheric design contribute to the game's more somber and serious tone compared to its predecessor. The audio in The Last Blade 2 complements its visual and narrative elements perfectly. The soundtrack features traditional Japanese instruments and compositions that enhance the game's historical setting. The Simpsons, 1991. The Simpsons arcade game is a nostalgic gem that transports players into the vibrant and chaotic world of Springfield. The game follows the Simpson family as they embark on a mission to rescue the kidnapped Maggie from the clutches of Mr. Burns and his henchman, Smithers. The plot kicks off with a diamond heist gone wrong, leading to Maggie inadvertently swallowing the stolen gem, prompting Smithers to kidnap her. The family must then battle through 8 stages, each culminating in a boss fight to save Maggie and bring her back home safely. Visually, the Simpsons arcade game excels in capturing the essence of the beloved TV show. The graphics are bright, colorful, and true to the animation style of the series. The character sprites are chunky yet detailed. The backgrounds are filled with familiar locations and Easter eggs that fans of the show will appreciate. The animations are smooth, and the game does an excellent job of making players feel like they're part of an interactive episode of The Simpsons. The audio in the game is another highlight. The sound effects are crisp, and the game features iconic voice clips from the original cast, adding an authentic touch to the experience. The background music is fitting and enhances the overall atmosphere of the game. Gameplay-wise, The Simpsons arcade game is a classic side-scrolling beat-em-up that allows up to 4 players to control Homer, Marge, Bart, and Lisa. Each character has unique attacks. Homer punches and kicks, Marge swings a vacuum cleaner, Bart uses his skateboard, and Lisa wields a jump rope. Controls are quite intuitive. The game also includes cooperative elements, such as combined attacks when characters stand close to each other, adding a layer of strategy to the chaotic brawls. Players can pick up and use various items as weapons, and health can be replenished by collecting food items scattered throughout the levels. The gameplay is engaging and fun, with tight controls and satisfying combat mechanics. The game also features minigames between stages, which provide a nice break from the action and add variety to the experience. However, like many arcade games of its time, The Simpsons arcade game can be quite challenging, requiring players to master the controls and timing to progress through the increasingly difficult stages. Marble Madness, 1984. Marble Madness is centered around guiding a marble through 6 increasingly difficult courses, filled with obstacles and enemies, all within a set time limit. The plot is to navigate your marble to the end of each course as quickly as possible, avoiding pitfalls, marble munchers, and other hazards along the way. The graphics of Marble Madness were groundbreaking for its time, featuring an isometric perspective that gave the game a unique and visually appealing look. Each course has a distinct visual theme, from the simple practice course to the quirky silly course, with its polka-dot patterns and reversed orientation. The visuals are often praised for their clarity and timeless quality, making the game stand out in the crowded arcade market of the 1980s. The audio in Marble Madness is another highlight, with the game being one of the first to use true stereo sound. The music and sound effects are well integrated, providing auditory cues that complement the on-screen action. Gameplay in Marble Madness is both simple and challenging. Players control the marble using a trackball in the arcade version, which offers precise control but can be difficult to master. The game is known for its steep learning curve, requiring players to develop a high level of skill to progress through the increasingly complex courses. Despite its short length, only 6 levels, the game remains addictive due to its challenging nature and the satisfaction of mastering its controls. The 2-player mode adds an extra layer of competition and fun, allowing players to race against each other while navigating the treacherous courses. Double Dragon, 1987. Double Dragon follows the story of brothers Billy and Jimmy Lee as they fight through the streets to rescue Billy's girlfriend, Marion, from a ruthless gang. The plot, while simple, provides a solid foundation for the action. Players traverse various urban environments, battling waves of enemies using a combination of punches, kicks, and an array of weapons. Graphically, Double Dragon was impressive for its time. The game featured vibrant, detailed sprites and diverse backgrounds that brought the gritty urban setting to life. The characters were well animated, and the environments, ranging from city streets to industrial areas, were richly detailed. The use of color and the variety of enemy designs kept the visual experience engaging throughout the game. The audio in Double Dragon is another standout feature. The soundtrack is energetic and memorable, perfectly complementing the game's intense action. Each stage has its own distinct theme, adding to the atmosphere and excitement. Sound effects, from the thud of punches to the clank of weapons, are satisfying and enhance the overall immersion. The controls are responsive, allowing players to execute a variety of moves with ease. The game introduced cooperative multiplayer, a feature that became a staple in the genre. Players can team up to take on the gang together, adding a layer of strategy and camaraderie. The combat system is robust, players able to pick up and use weapons dropped by enemies, such as bats and knives, adding variety to the brawling action. Boss fights punctuate the stages, providing challenging and memorable encounters. However, the game is not without its frustrations. Some enemy attacks can feel cheap, leading to unavoidable hits and occasional frustration. 1942, 1984. 1942, developed by Capcom and released in 1984, is a classic vertically scrolling shooter set in the Pacific theater of World War II. The game places players in the cockpit of a Lockheed P-38 Lightning, dubbed the Super Ace, with the mission to shoot down enemy planes and avoid enemy fire. The plot is straightforward, focusing on aerial combat and survival through various stages. The graphics of 1942 are notable for their time, featuring detailed sprites and vibrant backgrounds that effectively convey the wartime setting. The visual design includes a variety of enemy aircraft, such as Kawasaki Ki-61s and Mitsubishi A6M0s, which are well animated and distinct. The game's environments, while repetitive, are colorful and immersive, enhancing the overall experience. In terms of audio, 1942 has a mixed reception. The soundtrack includes a main theme that's energetic but can become repetitive due to the shortness of the stages. Sound effects are serviceable, with the noise of gunfire and explosions adding to the intensity of the gameplay. However, the audio quality doesn't match the high standards set by other Capcom titles of the era, such as Ghosts and Goblins. The controls are simple and responsive, with players using one button to fire their weapon and another to perform a loop-de-loop maneuver, which temporarily removes them from the playfield to avoid enemy fire. This special role feature adds a strategic element to the game, allowing players to escape tight situations. The game is challenging, with a high difficulty level that requires quick reflexes and strategic use of power-ups, such as the tiptoe formation, where the player's plane is escorted by two smaller fighters. Despite its difficulty, 1942 offers a rewarding experience for those who enjoy a tough, skill-based shooter. The game includes a high score system that tracks both the total score and the percentage of enemy planes shot down, adding an extra layer of competition. The alternating two-player mode allows friends to take turns, competing for the highest score, which adds to the game's replayability. Robotron, 2084, 1982. Robotron 2084 is set in a dystopian future where robots have turned against humanity. Players take on the role of the last hope for mankind, tasked with rescuing the final human family from the relentless onslaught of robotic enemies. The gameplay of Robotron 2084 is both intense and exhilarating. Utilizing a dual joystick control system, players maneuver their character with the left joystick and fire in any direction with the right joystick. This setup, innovative for its time, creates a frantic and immersive experience as players dodge and shoot the way through increasingly difficult waves of enemies. The game is played on a single non-scrolling screen, with each wave introducing new types of robots, such as grunts, tanks, spheroids, enforcers, brains, and the indestructible Hulk, which adds layers of strategy and challenge. Graphically, Robotron 2084 features simple yet effective sprites to depict the robots, obstacles, and humans. While the graphics may seem basic by today's standards, they contribute to the game's chaotic and fast-paced atmosphere. The screen often becomes crowded with enemies and projectiles, heightening the player's sense of urgency and excitement. Despite the simplicity, the visual design effectively conveys the game's hectic nature and keeps players on their toes. The audio in Robotron 2084 is equally impactful. The game features monaural sound with robust and meaty sound effects that enhance the overall experience. A laser gun sound is particularly satisfying, giving players a sense of power as they blast through waves of enemies. The audio, while not complex, complements the game's frenetic pace and adds to the overall immersion. Sunset Riders, 1991. Sunset Riders is a vibrant and action-packed side-scrolling run-and-gun arcade game set in the American Old West. Players assume the roles of one of 4 bounty hunters: Steve, Billy, Bob, or Cormano, each with unique weapons and abilities. The primary objective is to track down and defeat various outlaws, with each stage culminating in a boss fight that's introduced via a wanted poster. Players journey through various stages, each filled with numerous enemies, obstacles, and environmental hazards. The gameplay is reminiscent of Contra, requiring players to move from one end of the stage to the other, shooting down enemies and avoiding bullets, explosions, and other dangers. The game supports up to 2 players in cooperative mode, adding to its replayability and challenge. Graphically, Sunset Riders stands out with its colorful and detailed sprite work. The characters are well animated, and the stages, while sometimes simple in background design, are rich in detail and variety. The visual style captures the essence of the Wild West, with vibrant colors and imaginative character designs that add a layer of humor to the game. The audio in Sunset Riders complements its visual appeal. The soundtrack features energetic and catchy tunes that enhance the fast-paced action, while the sound effects, from gunshots to explosions, are crisp and fitting. The game's music and sound design contribute significantly to the overall immersive experience. Digdug, 1982. Digdug features a unique blend of strategic digging and enemy elimination, making it both engaging and challenging. The graphics of Digdug are characteristic of early 90s arcade games. While not highly detailed, the visuals are colorful and charming, with a distinct 8-bit aesthetic. The protagonist, Digdug, and the enemies Pukas and Figars are easily recognizable and have a certain nostalgic appeal. The underground setting is depicted with graduated shades of brown and orange, which, while somewhat monotonous, effectively convey the subterranean environment. Later stages introduce different colors, adding some variety to the visual experience. The plot of Digdug is straightforward. Players control Digdug, Taizahori, as he digs tunnels to eliminate enemies by either inflating them with an air pump until they burst or crushing them with falling rocks. The simplicity of the plot is part of its charm, providing a clear objective without unnecessary complexity. The game progresses through increasingly difficult stages, with enemies becoming faster and more aggressive, adding to the challenge. Audio in Digdug is notable for its unique approach. The in-game music only plays when Digdug is moving, creating a dynamic audio experience that's both quirky and memorable. The cheerful, beepy tunes are reminiscent of an ice cream truck, adding a whimsical touch to the game. However, the limited sound effects and repetitive music can become grating over extended play sessions. The game combines elements of maze navigation and strategic combat, requiring players to think ahead and plan their moves carefully. Digdug can move in any direction underground, creating tunnels that enemies can follow. Players must use the environment to their advantage, setting traps with rocks and timing their attacks with the air pump. The gameplay is easy to grasp but difficult to master, offering a satisfying challenge that keeps players coming back for more. The increasing difficulty and the introduction of bonus items for extra points add layers of strategy and replayability. Galaga, Demons of Death, 1981. As a sequel to the popular Galaxian, Galaga, Demons of Death builds upon its predecessor. The graphics of the game are a significant improvement over earlier arcade shooters. The game features colorful, multicolored sprites that animate smoothly, creating a visually appealing experience. The enemy ships, which swarm in intricate patterns, are detailed and distinct, adding to the game's dynamic visual appeal. The background remains simple, ensuring that the focus stays on the action-packed gameplay. In terms of audio, Galaga Demons of Death excels with its memorable sound effects and music. The sound design includes a variety of effects for shooting, enemy movements, and explosions, which enhance the immersive experience. The music, though minimal, is catchy and complements the fast-paced nature of the game, keeping players engaged and on edge. Players control a spaceship at the bottom of the screen, tasked with shooting down waves of enemy aliens. The game introduces several innovative features, such as the ability to rescue a captured fighter to double the player's firepower, which adds a strategic layer to the traditional shooter mechanics. The challenging stages, which offer bonus points without the threat of enemy fire, provide a refreshing break from the intense action and add variety to the gameplay. Outrun, 1986. Outrun stands as a legendary arcade racing game that's captivated players for decades. Graphically, Outrun excels with its colorful and varied environments. Players start on a picturesque beachside stage and navigate through diverse landscapes, including forests, deserts, and mountains. Each stage is distinct, providing a fresh visual experience with every playthrough. The game's sense of speed is enhanced by the smooth scrolling of the levels and the detailed animations, particularly the iconic car flip when players crash, which adds a humorous touch to the game. The gameplay of Outrun is straightforward, yet challenging. Players control a red Ferrari with a demanding girlfriend in the passenger seat, racing against the clock to reach checkpoints before time runs out. The game features a unique branching path system where players choose between left and right at the end of each stage, leading to different routes and increasing replayability. Mastering the art of drifting is crucial, as it allows players to maintain high speeds around corners without losing control. The inclusion of different modes, such as time attack and heart attack, where players must perform specific tricks to please their girlfriend, adds variety to the gameplay. Outrun's audio is one of its standout features. The game offers a selection of iconic soundtracks that players can choose from before starting their drive. These tracks, such as Splash Wave, enhance the overall experience, making the game feel more like a joyride than a competitive race. Ghosts and Goblins, 1985. Ghosts and Goblins is renowned for its punishing difficulty, which has both frustrated and captivated players for decades. The gameplay of Ghosts and Goblins is straightforward, yet brutally challenging. Players control Sir Arthur, a knight on a quest to rescue Princess Prin from the Demon King Astaroth. The controls are simple, allowing Arthur to jump and throw weapons in 4 directions. However, the game's difficulty is amplified by random enemy behavior and poor level design, which often feels more like a test of luck than skill. The control scheme can be unresponsive, making precise movements and actions difficult to execute, which adds to the game's overall challenge and frustration. In terms of audio, Ghosts and Goblins features some memorable tunes that have become iconic in the arcade genre. The music, composed using FM synthesis, is catchy and well suited to the game's eerie atmosphere. However, the limited number of themes can become repetitive over time. The sound effects are mixed, ranging from forgettable to outright annoying, which can detract from the overall experience. The plot of Ghosts and Goblins is typical of many games from its era, focusing on a simple damsel-in-distress narrative. Sir Arthur must traverse various haunted landscapes filled with zombies, demons, and other supernatural creatures to save the princess. The story is minimal and serves primarily as a backdrop for the relentless action and platforming challenges. Graphically, Ghosts and Goblins is a mixed experience. While the game features distinctive and imaginative enemy designs, the overall graphical detail is lacking compared to other arcade titles of the time. The frame rate issues and sprite tearing further detract from the visual experience. Despite these shortcomings, the game's unique style and aesthetic have helped it stand out in the crowded arcade market of the 1980s. Blood Bros, 1990. Blood Bros is a shooting gallery arcade game that serves as a spiritual sequel to Cabal. Set in the Wild West, the game follows 2 blood brothers, a cowboy and a Native American, as they hunt down the notorious outlaw Big Bad John. Graphically, Blood Bros stands out with its vibrant and detailed visuals. The game features a variety of destructible environments that adds a dynamic element to the gameplay. The character and enemy designs are well crafted, with a mix of historical and anachronistic elements, such as blimps and World War I era planes, which add a unique twist to the Wild West setting. The bosses, including a giant train and a fire-breathing bird, are particularly memorable for their size and the spectacle they bring to the screen. The gameplay is highly engaging and challenging. Players control their characters from a behind-the-back perspective, using a crosshair to aim and shoot at enemies. The game retains the core mechanics of Cabal, with unlimited ammo for the primary weapon and a limited supply of dynamite. The addition of a dodge roll button enhances the tactical depth, allowing players to evade enemy fire more effectively. The game's difficulty is dynamic, increasing as players survive longer, which keeps the action intense and demanding. The cooperative mode adds another layer of fun, allowing 2 players to team up and tackle the game's challenges together. The plot of Blood Bros is straightforward but effective for an arcade game. The narrative revolves around the 2 protagonists' quest to defeat Big Bad John and restore peace to Dodge City. While the story is minimal, it provides a sufficient backdrop for the relentless action and serves to motivate players through the various stages and boss battles. In terms of audio, Blood Bros features a soundtrack that complements its Wild West theme. The music is energetic and fitting for the fast-paced action, though it can become repetitive over extended play sessions. The sound effects are impactful, with satisfying gunfire and explosions that enhance the overall experience. However, some audio elements like Big Bad John's evil laugh can become grating after repeated exposure. Alien vs. Predator, 1994. Alien vs. Predator is a standout in the arcade beat-em-up genre, blending the intense lore of both the Alien and Predator franchises into a cohesive and thrilling experience. Set in a dystopian California city overrun by xenomorphs, the game follows 2 human characters, Major Dutch Schaefer and Lieutenant Lin Kurosawa, alongside 2 predators, as they battle through hordes of aliens and cover a sinister plot by the Weyland-Yutani Corporation. The gameplay is a classic side-scrolling beat-em-up, allowing up to 3 players to team up. Each character offers unique moves, weapons, and special attacks, providing a variety of playstyles. The controls are tight and responsive, essential for the fast-paced, action-packed levels. The game's difficulty is well balanced, offering a fair but challenging experience that makes each victory satisfying. Graphically, Alien vs. Predator is impressive, detailed and beautifully animated sprites. The character models and environments are rich in detail, capturing the dark, gritty essence of the Alien franchise while incorporating the high-tech aesthetic of the Predator series. The sound design complements the visuals perfectly, featuring a pulse-pounding soundtrack and authentic sound effects that enhance the overall experience. The narrative, while not complex, is engaging and faithful to the source material. The story revolves around an unlikely alliance between humans and predators to combat the alien threat, culminating in a battle against the Weyland-Yutani Corporation's plans. The inclusion of comic book-style cutscenes adds to the game's appeal and helps to immerse players in the storyline. Strider, 1989. Strider, 1989 is set in a dystopian future. The game follows the protagonist, Strider Hiryu, on his mission to overthrow the tyrannical Grandmaster Mayo. The plot, while straightforward, is engaging, provides a solid backdrop for the action-packed gameplay. The gameplay of Strider is one of its standout features. It combines platforming and hack-and-slash elements, creating a fast-paced and challenging experience. Players navigate through various exotic locations, battling a variety of enemies with Hiryu's signature plasma sword. Controls are tight and responsive, contributing to the game's demanding yet rewarding nature. Critics have praised the gameplay for its innovation and difficulty, making it a benchmark for future titles in the genre. Graphically, Strider was ahead of its time. The game features high-definition graphics with detailed character sprites and vibrant backgrounds. Each level is visually distinct, ranging from lush jungles to futuristic cities, which adds to the game's immersive quality. However, some reviews noted occasional graphical hiccups, such as jerky scrolling and hit detection issues, which slightly detract from the overall experience. The audio in Strider complements its visual and gameplay elements well. The soundtrack is atmospheric and memorable, enhancing the game's futuristic setting. The music, although repetitive at times, effectively sets the tone for each stage. Additionally, the game includes multilingual voice samples, which was a novel feature at the time of its release. Mystic Warriors, 1993. Mystic Warriors is a side-scrolling shoot-'em-up that immerses players in a high-octane ninja adventure. The plot centers around a group of ninjas battling against the malevolent Skull Enterprise, an evil corporation intent on corrupting the Ninja Order. The storyline, while not groundbreaking, provides a solid backdrop for the action-packed gameplay. The gameplay of Mystic Warriors is reminiscent of Sunset Riders, but with a ninja twist. Players navigate through various levels, engaging in intense shootouts and melee combat against waves of enemies. The controls are responsive, and the game offers a satisfying challenge with its diverse enemy types and boss battles. Cooperative play is a highlight, allowing up to 4 players to join forces, which enhances the overall experience. Graphically, Mystic Warriors stands out with its vibrant and detailed sprite work. The character designs are distinct, backgrounds are richly animated, bringing the game's world to life. Each level is visually unique, ranging from urban landscapes to mystical temples, keeping the visual experience fresh and engaging. The audio in Mystic Warriors complements the action perfectly. The soundtrack is energetic, featuring a mix of traditional Japanese instruments and modern beats that heighten the game's intensity. Frogger, 1981. Frogger's objective is simple, yet challenging. Guide a frog across a busy road and a hazardous river to reach one of the 5 homes at the top of the screen. This straightforward plot is the foundation for an engaging and addictive gameplay experience. Players use a 4-direction joystick to maneuver the frog, dodging speeding vehicles on the road and navigating floating logs, turtles, and alligators in the river. The game requires precise timing and quick reflexes, as players must avoid various obstacles and enemies, including snakes and otters. The increasing difficulty with each level keeps the game exciting and ensures that it remains a test of skill and strategy. The colorful and detailed sprites, combined with smooth animations, creates a visually appealing game that stands out in the arcade. The distinct visual elements, such as the bustling road and the dynamic river, are easily recognizable and contribute to the game's character. Despite the limitations of early 1980s technology, Frogger's graphics effectively convey the game's lively and perilous world. The audio in Frogger complements the gameplay perfectly. The upbeat and catchy tunes, along with the sound effects of hopping frogs and honking cars, enhance the immersive experience. The audio cues are not only entertaining, but also serve as important signals for players, helping them navigate the game's challenges. WWF WrestleFest, 1991. WWF WrestleFest stands as a hallmark in arcade wrestling games. offers a nostalgic trip back to the early 90s, capturing the essence of the then World Wrestling Federation, WWF. With its engaging gameplay and vibrant presentation, the game features two primary modes, the Royal Rumble and Saturday night's main event. In the Royal Rumble, players select a single wrestler to compete in a chaotic battle royale, while in Saturday night's main event, players form a tag team to battle through a series of matches, culminating in a title bout against the formidable Legion of Doom. This variety in gameplay modes adds depth and replayability, making each session unique and exciting. Graphically, WWF WrestleFest is a standout for its time. The game features large, colorful sprites that bring the larger-than-life WWF superstars to vivid life. Each wrestler is meticulously rendered with the signature moves and mannerisms, from Hulk Hogan's iconic leg drop to the Ultimate Warrior's frenetic energy. The character select screen alone, showcasing 10 beautifully drawn wrestlers, was a marvel in an era where such detail was rare. The audio in WWF WrestleFest complements its visual appeal. The game includes voice samples for commentary and pre-match introductions, adding an authentic touch to the arcade experience. The sound effects of slams and hits are satisfyingly impactful, enhancing the immersion. The inclusion of Gene Okerlund's voiced cutscenes further cements the game's connection to the WWF's television presentation. Gameplay-wise, WWF WrestleFest is both accessible and challenging. The controls are intuitive, allowing players to perform a variety of moves with ease. However, the game is known for its difficulty, often described as a coin gobbler, which was typical of arcade games designed to maximize player investment. Despite this, the gameplay remains engaging, with the ability to perform double-team moves in tag matches, adding a strategic layer to the action.
I kill you! You are dead!
XMen 1992. The 1992 arcade game XMen is a classic beat-em-up that captures the essence of the X-Men universe. Players can choose from 6 iconic X-Men characters: Cyclops, Colossus, Wolverine, Storm, Nightcrawler, and Dazzler. The objective is to thwart Magneto's plans, battling through hordes of Sentinels, mutant crocodiles, and various supervillains across multiple levels. The plot is straightforward and somewhat flimsy, revolving around the X-Men's mission to rescue Professor X and Kitty Pryde from Magneto's clutches. The narrative is filled with nonsensical moments, such as hitching a ride on a Sentinel to reach Asteroid M. Graphically, the game shines with its chunky, detailed sprites and multi-layered backgrounds that bring the X-Men universe to life. The animations are smooth, and the visual style remains appealing even by today's standards. The audio complements the visuals well, featuring catchy background music and iconic arcade sound effects. The dialogue, however, is notoriously bad, with lines like "I am Magneto, master of Magnet," becoming infamous for their poor translation and adding to the game's quirky appeal. It offers simple yet satisfying mechanics, with each character having unique mutant powers that can clear the screen of enemies at the cost of health. The game supports up to 6 players simultaneously, making it a social experience that's both chaotic and fun. The combat's straightforward, involving basic attacks, jumps, and special moves, but the variety of enemies and bosses keeps the action engaging. Sengoku 3, 2001. Sengoku 3, the final installment in the Sengoku beat-em-up series, stands out as a high point in the genre. The plot of Sengoku 3 is straightforward, but fitting for an arcade beat-em-up. It revolves around a prophecy that foretells the return of the timeless soul under a red moon, threatening to engulf the Earth in conflict. To counter this, the ninjas of peace awaken from their icy slumber to combat the supernatural forces. While the narrative is not the game's strongest point, it provides a sufficient backdrop for the action-packed gameplay. In terms of gameplay, Sengoku 3 excels with its fluid controls and variety of attack options. Players can choose from 4 initial characters, each with unique abilities and special moves. The game features a combo system that allows for satisfying high-hit juggles, and the ability to pick up and use projectiles adds another layer of strategy. Special attacks, which can be performed when a meter fills up, provide powerful and visually impressive moves that can turn the tide in tough battles. The gameplay is smooth and responsive. The graphics in Sengoku 3 are a highlight, showcasing detailed hand-drawn sprites and vibrant backgrounds. Each stage offers a unique setting, from the streets of China to a museum filled with ancient relics, and the character designs are both memorable and colorful. The animation is top-notch, characters and enemies moving fluidly and expressively. However, some minor graphical elements like certain special effects may appear less polished compared to the rest of the visuals. The audio in Sengoku 3 complements the gameplay well, featuring a fast-paced soundtrack that enhances the action. While the music may not be as memorable as some other titles in the genre, it fits the game's tone and keeps players engaged. Samurai Showdown 5 Special 2004. Samurai Showdown 5 Special is a distinctive entry in the long-running series, known for its methodical and tactical gameplay. The game emphasizes well-placed hits over drawn-out combos, creating a slower, more deliberate pace that sets it apart from other fighting games. This approach can be refreshing for players who appreciate strategic combat, but it might not appeal to those who prefer faster-paced action. The plot of Samurai Showdown 5 Special is typical of the series, focusing on a diverse cast of characters, each with their own backstory and motivations. The narrative is not the primary draw, but it provides a suitable backdrop for the intense duels that define the gameplay. The inclusion of classic boss characters and the return of some fan favorites add to the game's appeal for longtime followers of the series. Graphically, Samurai Showdown 5 Special retains the series' signature 2D art style, which, while not cutting edge, is charming. The character designs are detailed and expressive, though some newly added characters and animations fall short compared to the classics. The backgrounds vary in quality, with some looking quite impressive, while others appear dated. Despite these inconsistencies, the overall visual presentation is solid, maintaining the series' traditional aesthetic. The audio in Samurai Showdown 5 Special complements the visual style well. The game features a mix of original and new instrumental music, which enhances the atmosphere of the battles. The voice work is effective, with a gravelly English-speaking announcer fitting the game's tone, although the original Japanese narration is also available for purists. The sound effects, particularly the clash of swords and the visceral impact of hits, add to the immersive experience. The game introduces several mechanics that add depth to the combat, such as the Kenki meter and rage explosion, which require players to manage their resources carefully. The overkill moves, which act as both instant kills and fatalities, bring a dramatic flair to the fights, though they might be seen as overly gory by some. Metal Slug 5 2003. Metal Slug 5 continues the beloved series tradition of high-octane side-scrolling action, delivering an experience that's both familiar and fresh. The gameplay remains the core attraction, featuring the same run-and-gun mechanics that fans have come to love. Players choose from one of 4 characters that blast their way through hordes of enemies, utilizing a variety of weapons and the iconic Metal Slug vehicles. The game is challenging, but the Unlimited continues ensure that even the most difficult sections can be overcome, making it accessible to both newcomers and veterans alike. The plot of Metal Slug 5 is minimal, serving primarily as a backdrop for the action. The story revolves around the Peregrine Falcon Strike Force's mission to retrieve a stolen disc containing classified information. While the narrative isn't particularly deep or engaging, it provides just enough context to justify the relentless combat and explosive set pieces that define the game. Graphically, Metal Slug 5 excels with its detailed and vibrant pixel art. The animation is fluid, and each character and enemy is imbued with personality and charm. The backgrounds are richly designed, contributing to the immersive atmosphere of the game. The bosses in particular are visually impressive, with intricate designs and animations that make each encounter memorable. Despite being released in the early 2000s, the game's graphics hold up well, maintaining the high standards set by its predecessors. The audio in Metal Slug 5 complements the visual experience with a high-energy soundtrack that leans heavily on heavy metal influences. The music is dynamic and fitting for the intense action, with standout tracks that enhance the overall experience. Sound effects are crisp and impactful, from the satisfying explosions to the distinct sounds of various weapons. Warriors of Fate 1992. Warriors of Fate is a classic Capcom arcade beat-em-up game that's set in a fictionalized version of the Three Kingdoms era of China, drawing inspiration from the manga Tenchi wo Kurao and the historical novel Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Players take on the roles of heroic Shu generals battling against the villainous Wei forces, though the English version of the game changes many of the names and locations, which can be confusing for fans of the original story. The graphics in Warriors of Fate are impressive for its time, featuring chunky sprites and detailed backgrounds that bring the historical setting to life. The use of color and lighting effects is particularly noteworthy, adding depth and vibrancy to the 2D visuals. The battlefield stages are enhanced by a clever people in the foreground effect, which adds to the immersive experience. Audio-wise, the game delivers catchy music that fits the Chinese-inspired setting, although it may not be particularly memorable. The sound effects, however, are satisfying and contribute to the overall enjoyment of the game. It follows the traditional Capcom beat-em-up formula, allowing up to 3 players to fight their way through 9 stages of action. The controls are straightforward, with players moving to the right of the screen and using a combination of attacks and throws to defeat enemies. A unique feature of the game is the ability to summon special moves without draining health, which adds a strategic element to the combat. Additionally, players can pick up weapons and health items and engage in a tap as fast as you can minigame centered around eating. Captain Commando, 1991. Captain Commando centers around Captain Commando and his team of intergalactic crime fighters, Jinzu the Ninja, Babyhead, and Mac the Knife, who are tasked with stopping the evil alien Scumicide from taking over the world. The narrative is straightforward, but serves as a solid backdrop for the action-packed gameplay. Graphically, Captain Commando stands out with its vibrant and colorful visuals. The character designs are unique and memorable, featuring a mix of futuristic and quirky elements that add to the game's charm. The backgrounds are detailed and varied, ranging from urban landscapes to more fantastical settings, which keeps the visual experience fresh throughout the game. The audio in Captain Commando complements the high-energy gameplay with an upbeat and engaging soundtrack. The sound effects are crisp and satisfying, particularly the impact sounds during combat, which enhance the overall immersion. The game also features some voice clips that add a layer of personality to the characters. It follows the traditional beat-em-up formula, but introduces several unique elements that set it apart. Players can choose from 4 distinct characters, each with their own fighting style and special moves. The controls are intuitive, allowing players to punch, jump, and use special attacks with ease. One of the standout features is the ability to ride various futuristic mounts, reminiscent of the mounts in Golden Axe, which adds a fun and strategic layer to the combat. The game supports up to 4 players simultaneously, making it a great option for cooperative play. Jojo no Kimyu na Boken Mirei no Aisan, 1999. Jojo no Kimyu na Boken Mirei no Aisan is an arcade game developed by Capcom that immerses players in the fantastical world of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. The plot follows the 3rd arc of the series, Stardust Crusaders, where players join the Joestar family and their allies on a quest to defeat the malevolent Dio Brando. The storyline is rich with supernatural elements and dramatic confrontations, staying true to the source material's blend of action and intrigue. Graphically, the game excels with its vibrant and surreal visual style. The character sprites are meticulously detailed, capturing the unique designs and flamboyant poses that fans of the manga and anime will instantly recognize. The backgrounds are equally impressive, featuring a variety of locales that range from bustling cities to desolate deserts, all rendered with a high level of detail and color that enhances the overall aesthetic. The audio in Jojo no Kimyu na Boken Mirai no Aisan is another highlight. The soundtrack is energetic, perfectly complements the fast-paced action, while the sound effects add a satisfying punch to each hit and special move. Voice clips from the characters further enhance the immersive experience, bringing the larger-than-life personalities of the JoJo universe to life. It combines traditional beat-em-up mechanics with unique elements inspired by the series' stand abilities. Players can choose from a roster of 16 characters, each with their own distinct fighting style and special techniques. The combat is fluid and engaging, with a variety of combos and special moves that keep the action dynamic. The inclusion of a special moves meter, which fills up as players string together combos, adds a strategic layer to the gameplay. Additionally, the game features comic book style transitions between fights, which not only look stylish, but also maintain the narrative flow. Gunforce 2, 1994. Gunforce 2, released in 1994 by Irem, is a 2D side-scrolling run-and-gun arcade game that serves as a sequel to the original Gunforce. The plot centers around 2 soldiers, Max and Lee, who battle against the persistent antagonist organization DAS, which threatens Earth. The game is set in a futuristic, post-apocalyptic world where players must navigate through 5 stages filled with enemy soldiers, mutants, and aliens, rescuing POWs and collecting medals along the way. The audio in Gunforce 2 is robust, featuring a soundtrack that complements the intense action on screen. The sound effects are impactful, with each gunshot and explosion resonating effectively to enhance the immersive experience. The character voices and enemy sounds add an extra layer of engagement, making the battles feel more dynamic. Graphically, Gunforce 2 is impressive for its time, detailed sprite work and vibrant backgrounds that bring the post-apocalyptic setting to life. The animations are smooth, and the variety of enemy designs keeps the visual experience fresh throughout the game. The game's art style and design elements are reminiscent of later titles by Nazca Corporation, particularly the Metal Slug series, which shares many visual similarities. The game features a unique dual-wielding mechanic, allowing players to aim 2 weapons independently in different directions. This adds a strategic layer to the run-and-gun formula, making combat more versatile and engaging. Players can also find and use various vehicles scattered throughout the levels, each offering different advantages and challenges. The game's difficulty is balanced, providing a satisfying challenge without being overly punishing. The inclusion of multiple weapon types and the ability to upgrade one of them adds depth to the gameplay. Track and Field, 1983. Track and Field captures the essence of Olympic sports through its engaging and straightforward gameplay. The game is structured around a series of athletic events, each requiring players to rapidly press buttons to simulate running, jumping, and throwing actions. This button-mashing mechanic, while simple, is highly addictive and provides a physical challenge that mirrors the intensity of real-life sports competitions. The graphics of Track and Field are notable for their time, featuring charming and colorful sprites that effectively convey the athletic theme. The game's horizontal side-scrolling format allows for a clear view of the track and field, with a large scoreboard displaying world records and current scores. The packed audience in the background adds to the atmosphere, making each event feel like a grand spectacle. Audio in Track and Field is another highlight, with the game featuring a digital rendition of the iconic Chariots of Fire theme, which sets an inspiring tone for the sporting events. The sound effects, from the starting gun to the cheers of the crowd, enhance the immersive experience and contribute to the game's overall appeal. Despite its simplicity, the gameplay of Track and Field is where it truly shines. The game includes various events such as the 100-meter dash, long jump, and javelin throw, each requiring different techniques and timing. The competitive nature of the game is amplified when playing with friends, as up to 4 players can participate, making it a popular choice in arcades for both solo and multiplayer sessions. Burger Time, 1982. Burger Time, developed by Data East and released in 1982, is an arcade classic that combines quirky charm with challenging gameplay. Players step into the shoes of Chef Peter Pepper, whose mission is to assemble giant hamburgers by walking over various ingredients scattered across a maze of platforms. The plot is simple, yet engaging, with Chef Pepper being pursued by antagonistic food items like hot dogs, eggs, and pickles, adding a humorous twist to the culinary chaos. The graphics of Burger Time are vibrant and colorful, capturing the whimsical nature of the game. The sprites are well designed, with each character and ingredient easily recognizable. The animation is smooth, ensuring that the action remains clear and engaging even during the most hectic moments. The visual appeal of the game is one of its standout features, making it a memorable experience for players. Audio in Burger Time complements its visual style perfectly. The game features catchy, upbeat music that enhances the playful atmosphere. Sound effects, such as the sizzle of ingredients and the footsteps of Chef Pepper, are crisp and add to the overall immersion. The audio design is both functional and entertaining, contributing significantly to the game's charm. The controls are straightforward, with players navigating Chef Pepper across platforms and ladders to complete burgers while avoiding enemies. The challenge lies in the strategic use of limited pepper shakers to temporarily stun foes, allowing Chef Pepper to continue his culinary quest. The game's difficulty ramps up as players progress, requiring quick reflexes and careful planning. Despite some minor control issues, such as sticky movement off ladders, the gameplay remains addictive and rewarding. Dead Connection, 1992. Dead Connection, a 1992 arcade game, immerses players in a thrilling narrative set in the roaring 20s. The plot centers around 4 FBI agents, Philip, Lloyd, James, and 2 others, who are tasked with taking down a rampant mafia that floods the streets with drugs and violence. This backdrop provides a compelling setting for the game's intense action sequences. The gameplay in Dead Connection is a standout feature, characterized by its fast-paced shoot-'em-up mechanics. Players navigate through various stages, each filled with enemies that require quick reflexes and strategic shooting. The game offers a satisfying blend of challenge and excitement, ensuring that players remain engaged throughout the playthrough. Graphically, Dead Connection excels with its detailed sprites and vibrant backgrounds that capture the essence of the 1920s. Character designs are memorable, and the environments are richly depicted, adding to the game's overall appeal. The visual style complements the game's historical setting, making each level visually distinct and immersive. The audio in Dead Connection is equally impressive, featuring an outstanding musical score that enhances the game's atmosphere. The soundtrack, filled with period-appropriate tunes, adds to the authenticity of the setting, keeps the adrenaline pumping during intense firefights. Sound effects are crisp and effective, further immersing players in the action. Run and Gun, 1993. Run and Gun in 1993 is a fast-paced arcade basketball game that stands out for its engaging gameplay and unique presentation. Unlike traditional basketball simulations, Run and Gun focuses on delivering a high-octane experience with minimal rules, just a shot clock and out of bounds, allowing for a more fluid and dynamic game flow. The gameplay is where Run and Gun truly shines. Players engage in 5-on-5 matches that emphasize speed and action, making it an exhilarating experience. The controls are intuitive, allowing for smooth dribbling, passing, and shooting, which keeps the action continuous and exciting. The game supports up to 4 players, enhancing its appeal as a social arcade game. Graphically, Run and Gun is impressive for its time. The game features detailed player sprites and vibrant court designs that capture the essence of a lively basketball match. The dual monitor setup, which shows opposite ends of the court, adds a unique visual element that enhances the gameplay experience by providing a comprehensive view of the action. The audio in Run and Gun complements the high-energy gameplay. The sound effects, including the dribbling of the basketball and the swish of the net are crisp and realistic, adding to the immersion. The background music is upbeat and keeps the adrenaline pumping, perfectly matching the fast pace of the game. While Run and Gun doesn't have a traditional plot, its focus on delivering an arcade-style basketball experience is clear and well executed. The game's simplicity in rules and emphasis on action over simulation make it a standout title in the sport genre of arcade games. Cliffhanger, Edward Randy, 1990. The Cliffhanger, Edward Randy, is a high-energy action arcade game that draws heavy inspiration from adventure films like Indiana Jones. Set in the 1930s, the plot follows the young protagonist, Edward Randy, as he embarks on a daring mission to rescue Charlotte and thwart the plans of the villainous General Dark Ogre, who seeks a powerful prism stone for a weapon of mass destruction. The gameplay is a standout feature, offering a unique blend of platforming and action. Players control Edward using an 8-way joystick and 2 buttons for attacking and jumping. Edward wields a whip that can be used in 8 directions, adding a layer of strategy to combat. The game is known for its non-stop cinematic action, with automatic scrolling that keeps the pace brisk and engaging. Edward can perform various moves, such as sliding, running, stomping on enemies, and executing spin attacks, making the gameplay dynamic and varied. Graphically, the Cliffhanger Edward Randy is impressive for its time. The game features detailed sprites and vibrant backgrounds that effectively capture the adventurous spirit of the 1930s. The visual style is reminiscent of classic adventure films, with richly designed environments that enhance the overall experience. The animations are fluid, and the game's visual effects contribute to its cinematic feel. The audio complements the action-packed gameplay and vivid graphics. The soundtrack is energetic and fitting for the game's adventurous theme. The sound effects, from the crack of Edward's whip to the various environmental sounds, are well executed and add to the immersion. Biomechanical Toy, 1995. Biomechanical Toy is a unique run-and-gun arcade game that blends elements of fantasy and surrealism. The plot revolves around a criminal named Scrubby, who escapes from prison after attempting to steal the magic pendulum. Players take on the role of a hero tasked with recapturing Scrubby and preventing him from wreaking havoc. The gameplay is a highlight of Biomechanical Toy, featuring side-scrolling action where players navigate through various levels filled with enemies and obstacles. Controls are responsive, and the game offers a variety of weapons and power-ups that keep the action fresh and engaging. The level design is imaginative, with each stage presenting new challenges and visually distinct environments that enhance the overall experience. Graphically, Biomechanical Toy stands out with its vibrant and detailed sprite work. The game's art style is heavily influenced by surrealism, creating a visually striking world that feels both fantastical and slightly eerie. The character designs are inventive, and the backgrounds are richly detailed, contributing to the game's unique aesthetic. The audio in Biomechanical Toy complements its visual style perfectly. The soundtrack is energetic and fits well with the fast-paced action, while the sound effects are crisp and effective, adding to the immersion. The combination of music and sound effects helps to create a cohesive and engaging atmosphere that draws players into the game's surreal world. Shadow Force, 1993. Shadow Force is an arcade beat-em-up that offers a mix of intense action and a compelling storyline. The game thrusts players into a world where they must battle against a shadowy organization using a combination of martial arts and supernatural abilities. The plot, while not groundbreaking, provides a solid framework for the relentless combat that defines the game. The audio in Shadow Force is a mixed bag. The sound effects are punchy and satisfying, enhancing the impact of each hit and special move. However, the background music, though energetic, can become repetitive over extended play sessions. It does its job of keeping the adrenaline pumping, but lacks the memorable tunes that some other arcade classics boast. Graphically, Shadow Force is competent but not exceptional. Character sprites are well animated, and the game features a variety of enemy designs. However, the overall visual presentation feels somewhat dated compared to other games of the era. The backgrounds are detailed, but lack the vibrancy and polish seen in titles like Final Fight. This doesn't detract significantly from the experience, but it does mean that Shadow Force doesn't stand out visually among its peers. The controls are responsive, and the combat system is deep enough to keep players engaged. Each character has a unique moveset. The ability to switch between different fighting styles adds a layer of strategy. The game is notoriously difficult, demanding precise timing and quick reflexes, which can be both a draw and a deterrent depending on the player's tolerance for challenge. Cooperative play adds another dimension, allowing players to team up and tackle the game's tough enemies together. Baseball Stars 2, 1992. Baseball Stars 2 is a vibrant and exhilarating arcade baseball game that stands out for its intense action and engaging gameplay. Unlike traditional baseball simulations, this game embraces an arcade feel, delivering fast-paced and over-the-top baseball action that keeps players on the edge of their seats. The gameplay is where Baseball Stars 2 truly excels. The controls are intuitive, allowing players to quickly get into the game and enjoy the action. The game features a variety of teams, each with unique strengths and weaknesses, adding a strategic layer to the gameplay. The matches are fast and furious, with exaggerated animations and special moves that make each game feel like a high-stakes showdown. The two-player mode is particularly enjoyable, offering competitive fun that's a hallmark of great arcade games. Graphically, Baseball Stars 2 is a feast for the eyes. The game boasts colorful and detailed sprites, with each character and stadium bursting with personality. The animations are smooth and dynamic, capturing the excitement of baseball in a way that few games of the era could. The exaggerated cartoonish style adds to the game's charm, making it visually appealing and memorable. The audio in Baseball Stars 2 complements the high-energy gameplay perfectly. The sound effects are crisp and impactful, enhancing the thrill of hitting a home run or making a spectacular catch. However, the background music, while fittingly upbeat, can become repetitive, and the constant repetition of the game's title in the soundtrack might wear on some players' nerves over time. While Baseball Stars 2 doesn't have a deep plot, it doesn't need one. The focus is squarely on delivering a fun and engaging baseball experience, and it succeeds admirably in this regard. The lack of a narrative is more than made up for by the game's addictive gameplay and vibrant presentation. Aero Fighters 2, 1994. Aero Fighters 2 is a vertical scrolling shoot-'em-up that's garnered a mix of praise and criticism over the years. The game features a straightforward plot, typical of the genre. Players select from a roster of international pilots, each with unique aircraft to thwart an alien invasion threatening Earth. The narrative is minimal, serving primarily as a backdrop for the intense aerial combat. The audio in Aero Fighters 2 is a standout feature, with a soundtrack composed by Hiroyuki Ito, Nori Aoki, and Soshi Hosoi. The music complements the fast-paced action, enhancing the overall experience. Sound effects are crisp and impactful, adding to the immersion, although some players have noted occasional audio slowdowns when the screen is crowded with enemies and projectiles. Graphically, the game is vibrant and detailed. The backgrounds are richly designed, and the enemy sprites are varied and well animated. However, the game does suffer from slowdown issues when too many sprites are on screen, which can detract from the otherwise smooth gameplay experience. In terms of gameplay, Aero Fighters 2 excels with its tight controls and engaging mechanics. Players use two buttons, one for firing projectiles and another for launching powerful bomb attacks. Collecting power-ups and bonuses by destroying enemies and buildings is crucial for progressing through the 10 challenging levels. Each level culminates in a boss fight, and the game features multiple endings based on the chosen character, adding replay value. Despite its strengths, some critics have pointed out that the game lacks innovation and can feel repetitive after extended play. Marvelous verdict. We hope you like the 50 games we've chosen here. The arcade gaming market is experiencing a revival, bolstered by technological advancements, strategic market expansions, and evolving consumer preferences. North America and Asia Pacific are key regions driving this growth, with VR technology playing a pivotal role in shaping the future of arcade gaming. These are exciting times to be a gamer. See you all in the next.
And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.